What's the guy problem that girls wouldn't understand? Online dating. It's a completely different experience for guys and girls, and neither probably understands what it's like for the other. How difficult it can be to know if a girl is into you. The difference between flirting and just being nice is still very hard for me to decipher. That if asked if we are okay, we are okay, and the repeated asking will soon make me not okay. And even if I'm not okay at the moment, I'm close enough to being okay that I will be okay if you leave me alone for 30 minutes. That sidestep on a hot day. My go-to move is look at what's happening on top of that building. I'm going to pivot to continue looking while I keep walking. Sometimes in the morning we will be in two completely different directions and not know what to do. I thought that was the coolest thing ever as a kid and always hoped it'd happen. Maybe I was just a weird kid. Like it's not as bad as this is going to sound lol, but the feeling that you could be relentlessly mocked by your male friends for opening up to them. I have male friends who I know would take any problems super seriously, but it's still super hard to open up lol. Beige pants. Urinal or sink. I hate how all public sinks are bull height. Lean in to reach the tap or look closely into the mirror. Now it looks like I pissed myself. Pissing everywhere but in the toilet, because even after 27 years of practice, you just don't know what kind of stream you're going to get. Sometimes if you're lucky you get the 2-stream upgrade, which is handy for defeating the boss. I can't cry. I know it's not illegal, but it's just not something accepted in society for boys. Most girls affirm, or pretend, they have no problem with a man crying, but what they imagine is a manly subdued cry with a single tear you shed when your brother-in-arm has passed away in Vietnam. I don't think they would be okay with a big ugly 30-minute wail with lots of tears and snot, because the ending of that Pixar movie was just too powerful. You say that you would be okay, but if you search your heart you just know that you would think less of a cribberby if he was a man. Girls are allowed to cry because they are expected to be protected by men. That's just how life is. Making the first move. This so much. It especially sucks if you're shy, then you will have a very low chance of being asked. Yep, in college so far, I would always be like, should I talk to her? Maybe I should talk to her. No, I'll probably mess up. Well, there's always next class, and then I do that for a whole semester and voila, I managed to not speak to any girls I find attractive. A. Getting hair in all the wrong places. B. Losing hair in all the wrong places. Men are socially conditioned to be the problem solvers by default. We are expected to be the decision makers, the action takers, and the responsibility havers in any given situation. If there's a problem that needs solving, society says that a man's manliness is dependent on solving it. It's absolutely exhausting, being the dollar all the time, and it can wreak havoc on a man's sense of self-worth knowing that, if he ducks up once, he feels like a failure as a man. I'm not saying I agree with any of this, but that's the way society is. I'm also not saying that women don't have their own set of expectations. They do, and their problems are just as valid as ours. But it is a different set of problems. I hate shower gel or shampoo marketed for men. It stinks like chemicals and burns in my nose. I rather use shower gel and shampoo marketed for women because they smell so much better with fruits and stuff. Very much this. I always look for the shampoo or soap that has the least dye or fragrances in it. I just want to get clean, not smell like maximum thrust performance edge clean. We don't manspread because we need to show dominance or support the patriarchy or whatever bullpoop that is. We have our legs a bit more open because we have stuff there and it's more comfortable on our genitals to sit with the legs a bit more open. That's just the naturally comfortable position. If we need to close our legs more to accommodate, ask and we will. Trust me, it's not some deliberate way of men undermining feminism. Most of the answers in this thread revolve around men are simple, men don't gossip, or men don't care about most things, etc., and that they are just nice, straightforward creatures. While this may be true for the majority, I do hope that guys reading this thread don't put this male simplicity on a pedestal. It doesn't make you less of a man. If you don't experience that blank state of mind as often as the comments suggest men do, or if you are actually interested in your friends' lives and like the occasional light gossip, or if you care about where to go for dinner, you can worry about stuff and have strong opinions too. Your problems don't matter, your gender is expendable, and if you express your problems in a manner that suggests you're trying to address them, you're dismissed as a weakling and lesser. Chris Rock said something like the man in the family is the only one who isn't loved unconditionally. Essentially, while women, children, and pets are often loved simply for being what they are, a man is usually expected to do something to be valued. Not a guy, but had a guy friend tell me this. Voice cracks. It's horribly awkward when a guy's going through puberty and they are in a fight with someone, and it's really heated, and they are screaming at each other, and their voice suddenly cracks, and then nobody takes them seriously, and you try to keep yelling but everyone keeps laughing at you, and you just give up as you feel yourself sink into the ground and descend into hell while you cry. During a disaster, people saying save the women and children first. It should be save those who are in need first. That's how my granduncle passed away decades ago. Boat capsized and rescuers chose to rescue this girl first, who was treading water like a boss, then my drowning granduncle. Sorry, I'm bitter. It's just not fair. That sometimes we are seriously thinking about nothing. It is completely possible for us to just sit there not saying anything, not communicating in any manner, without there being something wrong. Also, when trying to figure out what to eat or where to go out, when we say literally anywhere works we don't care, we seriously don't ducking care. Pick a spot you want and let's go. I'm down. Let's do this thing. Let's go to Chipotle. Works for me. I don't want Chipotle. I will literally go anywhere. Chinese? Me. Awesome. I'm down for Chinese. I don't want Chinese. I'm in my mid-20s now, and I was always very jealous of the close friendships that women make with other women. Like you can talk a lot, tell each other everything, etc. When I was growing up, boys and young men were not socialized to be too close to form that close of relationships. You could certainly be good friends and bond over common interests and hobbies and hang out a lot, but discussing personal issues and deep personal things was seen at the time as being gay basically, and where I grew up in Texas this was, wrongly, considered a bad thing at the time. When I moved around age 10, I tried to keep in touch with my old friends by calling them on the phone and such, but after a while they basically told me they didn't want to do that anymore. It wasn't like explicitly said, but to them, it felt weird to try and stay so close when we were mostly socialized from an early age to not be that emotional, which is required for certain levels of intimate friendship. It wasn't until late high school I found a few other male friends that I could be vulnerable and intimate with if I needed to be and not feel like it was a really weird thing and situation to be in. IDK if that makes a lot of sense, but I think it was definitely a product of the time in which we lived in. This is not necessarily the case for all men by any means and I don't mean to generalize, but I think it happens enough. A more light-hearted one. When it's quite warm, and you have been sitting for a while, you have to get up, and your scrotum has stuck itself to the inside of your thigh, so you have to do a weird few steps to dislodge it. Sometimes girls don't think farts are funny so you don't wanna do it, but then you get super uncomfortable from the big gas bubble in your belly. I'm like the only one who doesn't do audible farts. Like you just let them out slowly, without letting them build up. Same with burps. IDK WTF is going on. Unacknowledged double standards. So frequently one will see a famous actor / athlete / Olympian being fawned over by media outlets, and another man, of approximately average proportion, get pieces written about their shape being less than attractive. Were the same behavior applied to ladies, there would be outrage, while this seems to be hardly noted from my perspective. Being the emotional rock in the majority of relationships. This can vary a fair amount, but is usually the case in my friends' experiences. I'll say that due to society men probably have more practice internalizing stress and negative emotions, but that doesn't mean we have less. Personally my emotional state is very much impacted by the emotional state of my so. Trying to be supportive and considerate over long periods of time can be exhausting. Everyone makes it out like men internalizing emotions is a huge negative. I personally don't want to live a life That is a cesspool of sadness and stress, and I get over things very quickly if left to distract myself for a little while. If you have any empathy at all, and the person you care most about is upset, this is upsetting to you as well. I don't feel the need to burden my relationships with the small stuff, because I don't want to cause my partner stress over something they can't realistically help with. TBH, most women don't seem to see things this way at all. My best friend finally dumped his ex after years of being her all-hours free therapist. He'd get home from being yelled at by angry customers on the phone all day, no exaggeration, listen to music and decompress, sort his mood out, and have it ruined again an hour later by his ex crying on the phone about something that happened in her much more friendly atmosphered workplace. I'm proud of him for standing up for himself, but we have female friends that think he's a for sincerely suggesting to her that she see a professional shortly before they broke up. The answer to this is not the commonly touted, get better at expressing yourself guys. There is a middle ground here. It's not about self-repression. It's about considering someone else's feelings above your own some of the time. Thankfully my so is very self-aware, which is a big reason I see this relationship succeeding where others have failed.